Hello, welcome back. Today we have something a little bit different. It's a Girard Perregaux, or however you say that. It's a watch that came to me as a part payment for a service, as the customer had some other stuff serviced and he didn't want to service this after all. So I said, okay, I'll take it. It's been pretty low on my priorities list of having things serviced, but so I've ended up feeling a bit sorry for it, looking at it in the back of the drawer. But it's a pretty cool watch, really nice hands, sort of a interesting early waterproof case from the late 40s, early 50s. Not quite sure of the date. Don't know too much about Girard Perregaux. But yeah, I was feeling a bit sorry for it, so I thought, how about we give it a full service and see how it turns out. It's got a really lovely patina on it, even though it makes the print a little bit difficult to see, because it's probably been a silver dial at some point that the varnish has turned completely brown. So I'm going to take this apart in time lapse and then we'll put it back together in real time. I believe we push the case, push the case out like this. And we'll have a crystal on there. So we're going to take that apart and we can do that in real time. Take the hands off and have a look what kind of movement it is. It's kind of an early monocoque style case. Crystal comes off like this. There's a gold-plated ring that will hold that movement in place. It comes off quite easy. So that you can see what the color of the dial would have been on the outer line of the dial. So it would have been silver. This being a monocoqued case means that we can move it's going to be a split stem on there pretty tight. Back to that in a second, but yeah, look at that. There we got that split stem off. A little bit rusty, so we'll see what comes out of the case. Hopefully not too rusty. There we have the movement. Luckily the movement looks to be in fairly good condition. It's just the stem's got a bit of rust on it. We'll do our best to clean that up later on, and yeah, hopefully put it back together. It's just a bit of dust. Yeah, this will clean up nicely. We might even be able to reuse that split stem. I don't know how easy that would be to find a new one, but we'll see how good it is when we clean all of this up and clean the rust off of it. But yeah, I'm going to take this apart in time lapse now, and then we can look at this coming back together in real time. Clean the movement and it's looking really nice and clean. The balance is moving freely. Just put the shock jewels in, and just remove the screw as well, but this is moving nicely, and can take the balance out of the way again so we can fit the gear train. This movement is in Girard Perregaux world called a 06.06, but it's in reality it is one of those complicated names. Piso, I'll put the lettering up, caliber 200. So they've done a little bit of a half-assed job trying to remove the original manufacturer stamp on the underside, which you can see a photo of, but it's actually a Piso caliber 200. So there you go. I put a drop of oil here and here. Nice that the center wheel is jeweled on top and bottom. Very nice detail on such an early watch like this. A lot of them are with brass bushings that wear, but this is not the case, so that's very good. I fitted the mainspring back into the barrel. That's been cleaned and lubricated. This isn't going to be the most... This isn't going to be like a how-to-do service. It's just basically a quick go-through of this watch. I thought it was interesting. And it's turned out to be a bit more interesting than I thought it would be, because it's actually the first generation of the Girard Perregaux Sea Hawk, which was a attempt at making waterproof watches back in the early 40s, intended for the military. And as I originally thought this was a gold-plated watch, it actually turns out that the cap that goes over is solid gold. So there you go, bonus. I did contact the chap I traded the watch for and told him, because neither of us was quite aware of it at the time. I presumed it was plated, so did he. So we agreed on the price for it then, which was, I think, a free watch service or something like that. So a couple of years ago now. So in my defense, the gold price was a tiny bit lower than what it is now, but I let him know that he could have it back for what I bought it for. But he said, no, that's fine. He doesn't like the radium on the dial anyway, and we kind of made a deal. So I gave him first dibs on that, so it's not like I was trying to scam anyone, but I'm happy with that. I'm very happy to take care of this watch now, and it's a bit more interesting than I thought, and the Sea Hawks are quite cool as well. Doesn't have such a big following as certain other watch brands and models, but it's a cool watch. It's cooler than I thought, and the crown turns out to be, after a little bit of research, is the original crown. So I'm just going to clean that up and put it back on, so we keep this as a fully original watch. Now here we got the gear train coming back in, the gear train bridge. I might have to go under the microscope to make sure everything lines up. Oh, actually, I don't have to. It does line up. So I'm going to get the screws and secure this. You have the false separation of the gear train bridge. Very nice detail. Nice beveled edge on that. They've done a good job on that. But these are not individually fitted, as you see. I put it on in one piece. two screws that are very similar. I think I put the wrong one on. Let's try this one instead. For some reason the screw that goes over the escape wheel is different. I guess they're trying to be fancy, but I don't know. There we go. That's the correct one. Almost identical, but different. So yeah, quite a nicely decorated movement. Very high polish on the outer bevel here. It's come up lovely in the cleaning machine. Next we got pop the crown wheel in. So that's the intermediate winding wheel. So this wheel engages with the winding pinion that will be fitted on the other side here, and winds up the ratchet wheel. Quite a nicely decorated hole down center for that. Secured with two smaller screws. Domed, highly polished screws. Nice finish on those. So Girard Perregaux is still around today. Do claim to be a very old watch brand, or pocket watch, etc., from the 1750s or whatever, but it's gone through several ownerships, and it's actually mostly established in the late 1800s, I believe, so it's if you want to look more into that, I guess you can Google Girard Perregaux, but it hasn't been a continuous manufacturer from 17 whatever. But it's still, you know, one of the old names in the watchmaking world. That's a bit of useless trivia for you. So the serial number 1738 is quite low, I gotta say. I do also believe it's one of the within the 2000 first watches made. Not super low, but you know, usually there's another digit or two on that, so that's kind of fun. Right, now for the palette fork. Stop. The palette is the pivot is in position. That means I can secure it. And with that, I can pop the movement around, and we will fit the setting and winding mechanism. Before I do that, I'm going to take this under the microscope. I'm going to oil the jewels. So a little bit here, 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 and on the other side. I'm going to fit the setting and winding mechanism, wind the movement, and we're going to oil the palette, and we're going to fit the balance. Actually, I'm going to go one step back because I've been very lazy, and I didn't notice there is some rust residue in this center of this jewel here, or oil residue. There's anyway some brown goo in there. We can't have that when we're going to oil it. So I'm going to take this bridge off again, clean that up manually with a bit of pegwood. All the other jewels are good, it's just that one that is dirty. I thought I got everything before the cleaning, but sometimes you don't get everything. Make sure the screw is disconnected there. So what I do have is a little bit of stuff in there. Let's see if we can zoom. It's hard to make out, but you can just about make it up there. What you got to do is take a bit of pegwood and you clean that out, and then you can further clean that with Rodico. Just make sure the jewels are spotless and clean as they should be. Now with the jewels all cleaned up, and there was actually a speck on the gear train as well that I tidied up. I didn't film it as I'm trying to keep this short and sweet. I've also oiled the pallet, so that's pretty done. So what I'm going to do now is fit the winding and setting mechanism, and we're going to fit the balance and see if this thing will run again. It did run when I took it apart, consider even though it was absolutely caked in all sorts. So it's a very robust movement, I'll give it that. There's all a good reason why you shouldn't just pick up a vintage watch and just wear it without actually inspecting the movement to make sure it's not. One thing is if the movement's old and dry, but if it's full of crud and muck, yeah, it would be like eating a sandwich with lots of sand in it. It's you can still eat it, but it won't be very good for your teeth. Which isn't a very nice thing to imagine doing, but there you go. So we have the sliding pinion, and here's the winding pinion. Got the split stem here. I've basically cleaned off the corrosion, top layer of corrosion. Might see if I can find a new set for this at some point, but for now it will work. This watch is not going to see a lot of moisture, so it will be fine for now, but sometime in the future maybe replace the setting, the stem and the other bit for the crown. I took that out to clean it up a bit. Not great, but will work for now. We'll deal with that later. I just want to get this watch together today, hopefully. And we have the yoke, a little bit of grease here, doesn't hurt. So actually I've got to fit the setting lever as well. Setting lever, I have to flip the movement around so I can secure the screw. What I have is I have fairly clean gloves on. Just put that on the underside with my finger, and then turn it around, and then I'll tighten it. That's secured. Put a little bit of grease here. Oh, get into focus. A little bit of grease here. That engages with the yoke. We have the yoke spring, comes all the way around here. A little bit of pegwood, help me hold this in place without scratching anything, and then we tension that over the yoke, like so. That's going to act as a spring. Now we can put a little droplet of oil for the intermediate time setting wheel and the intermediate time pinion. So this has a little beveled edge, oops, and the beveled edge always points downwards to engage with the sliding pinion. Like so. See if this is in focus. Got a new stand, it's a bit bouncy, but it will do for now for the camera. goes in there. Got the setting lever spring. Make sure everything lines up. And a little bit of grease for the setting lever spring. Good stuff. Now we can flip this around. As I've already oiled the pallet, let's see if we can get the fit the ballets. Line the pallet fork up to that towards the right, and then I'll come in this way so that the impulse pin can engage with the pallet fork. Do not like when these can be a bit tight sometimes on the pins that hold them in the plate. There we go. Well, it's ticking. Next thing to do is to get it on the time graph and see how it's performing. Okay. Right, after a bit of beat error adjustment and mucking around, the watch is running okay. Set it to run a little bit fast. Dial down position, 277 amplitude is acceptable. Fairly straight line. Turn this around. Put that out of the way. And it does gain a little bit, but it's all acceptable. That's fine for an old watch like this. Put it sideways. And we have a little bit of gain, a little positional variation, not too bad. This is all acceptable for a 1940s watch. Very happy with that. Nice, now we have timed the watch to somewhere where we want it, and considering it's a monocoque construction and we can't just take the case back off, that's pretty good to do. So yeah, happy with that. Nice looking movement. Girard Perregaux 06 Perregaux, however you pronounce it, 200 with a bit of extra decoration. Very nice. Now I'm going to pop it back into the case. I'm going to do that in time lapse, fitting the dial and hands. And we can have a look at the watch when it's all finished. See, what do you think? Please don't leave a comment, don't like, don't share it, because that wouldn't help the channel at all. Anyway, so a quick look at the case back. You can see it has the patent brevet, and you have the very cool Girard Perregaux logo, and yeah, stainless steel back, and as we discovered, solid gold cap. So I thought originally this was plated. This might have had a light polish at some point, or it's just wear, but you can see it had a brush finish on the side. You still have like a hard to capture it, but it's the you have kind of like a faced finish on the top of the lugs, and yeah, 14 karat solid gold. Yes, so makes for a fairly solid construction, as this comes over here and you sandwich the crystal in the middle. Anyway, I'm going to put this together in time lapse now, and I'll show you the finished product. There you have it, the watch put back together. I did have some stuff I did behind the scenes, as I had a problem with the winding, but I've sorted that out. I've tightened the cannon pinion, as that was way too loose. And yeah, I've polished the old crystal on here. I might replace that in the future, because you can see there's some crazing in there in the crystal. But it still looks all right. It's representable. There's also a couple of scratches, one here and one here. So I might look for a new crystal for it, order something that might fit. But for now, I'm going to put the strap on it and wear it, test it out. It's a really cool watch. Really like that dial patina, especially on a watch with gold hands and gold around the luminous compound on the markers and the case, of course. So yeah, I'll put this on the strap, and the next shot you should see me outside in daylight, and yeah, you'll see how that patina plays in the light. Well, I was kind of hoping for a bit more sunshine so we could get some more color shining through in this dial, but you get the idea. It's very hard to spot the lettering in this weather, but it's there, and you have those very visible hands anyway, so it's quite easy to read the time on it, tell the time. So it's a cool watch, and you can see some of the imperfections in the crystal, as we discussed earlier, would go away with a fresh crystal, and I think I would do that in this one, because the dial's actually pretty good in terms of scratches and stuff, and with this patina it will look really nice with a fresh crystal. And that's the original crown as well, back in place. So we'll live with a little bit of wear on that, as it's all original. Hope you enjoy that. Until next time, have a good one.